Hi, Nick. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here with the Book Dragon today.
Hi, it's nice to see you, Michelle.
Of course, you've got your book tour on this week where we're reviewing Marvin the Moth, A Bite to Remember. So I'm just going to ask you a few
Exactly.
questions about that and your writing in general so that our readers can get to know you better.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so when did you first discover your love for writing, Nick?
I think I've always loved writing even as a little kid. I wrote a lot of short stories. I wrote a lot of very embarrassing poetry when I was a teenager. And then gradually, yeah, I studied writing in university along with filmmaking. And then gradually as you start working, the writing and everything became part of my job. So yeah, I've been writing for a long, long time.
So you've always been involved in creative activities and with your films and such as well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, how did you come up with the idea for the character of Marvin the Moth?
So I was sitting in a small town, a mountain town in Switzerland, where I was on holiday, and there was a classical music festival happening. I was sitting in one of the performances, and at some point, I was listening to the music, and I saw an insect fly across the stage. And even though I was sitting very far away, it was lit by the stage light, so it was really clearly identifiable as this little weird thing that was flying around. And that just got me thinking, like, what is it doing there, and what kind of insect is it? And then gradually, yeah, the story of A Bite to Remember was born. Really,
Oh, that's great. Thanks for sharing that story. I can just
that's
picture
right.
it. So, music's an important part of the story in A Bite to Remember. And I was wondering if
Yeah.
you could share with our viewers the importance of music in your own life.
So music is really, I mean, I listen to a lot of different music, all kinds, everything from classical to electronic to yeah, really anything. Um,
Mhm.
and for me, it's really important because it sort of reflects my mood a lot, and it helps me write. So depending on what I'm writing, I'll have particular types of music that I use to get me in the mood for a particular type of project or job. And in many ways, every song or every piece of music is a story in its own right and has a similar build up to a book or a poem in many
Mhm.
cases. And so I think that that's disregarding the lyrics. I think the music itself on its own is really structured in a similar way. And so listening to music is kind of an unconscious way of triggering the writing process in general, I think. And then especially, of course, with Marvin, classical music in particular, which a lot of people who don't maybe aren't familiar with classical music think it's a very serious thing all the time.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I mean, don't blame them because right, you have to wear a smoking or a tuxedo, and you have to look all fancy and be all serious in the room. But you know, especially with pieces like or music, especially from someone like Mozart, these were things. The performances of his operas and his music was actually meant for a far more lighthearted approach. And so people used to be that you didn't even have to see, there was no seats. So you would
Mhm.
just walk into the hall and they would perform, and then you just walk out if you were bored. And most people would come for the arias, which are the famous uh, bit sort of solo bits that the singers sing in classical music, in opera at least, and then they would leave for the story bits or the other way around. So this take classical music seriously is a more recent development, and um, I mean comparatively recent. And I thought it would be fun for the book also to have that similar lightheartedness as as Mozart's music in a way.
That's really interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that myself.
That's all right. No,
So,
you're welcome.
do you plan any more books starring Marvin?
Maybe I don't. Not there's none there's none in the works right now. I'm working on two or three books, actually, three other books, but
Mhm.
none of them are with Marvin at the moment.
What would you like to tell us
So,
about the books you're working on?
sure, yeah. So the next book I'm bringing out is called Cleo Can't Sleep,
Hmm.
um, which is about a crocodile who can't sleep because the swamp she lives in is too loud.
Oh.
And she learns different techniques to get used to the sound and to hear other things, and that's kind of what the story's about. But it is in Dutch, so that unfortunately is not at the moment being written in English.
Oh, well, if anyone
Um,
speaks Dutch, then you might be interested
yeah, exactly.
in.
Unless, of course, yeah. But the
Yeah.
cool thing is the illustrator that I'm working with is 11 years old.
Oh, wow.
Super talented young man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we've been working together for just over a year now. So I'm good friends with his parents, and I went into their home one day, and there was an amazing painting on the wall, and then it turned out that he had made this painting, and it was a really interesting picture that you could tell that whoever made it had made artistic choices and hadn't just, they'd really thought about what they were doing and about the composition and the technique and the mediums even. And so yeah, I was really blown away. And then it turned out that it was from him, from his name is Simon. And so we thought, oh man, we have to do something together.
That's so exciting.
Yeah, that's fun. And then the second book is about a girl who doesn't like cheese. And spends the whole book just ranting about what she'll do if anyone forces her to eat cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's in English. And the third book after that is far more along the lines of the rhythm and the rhyme of Marvin and the other books. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, it's about sorry, I forgot. It's about
Go ahead.
it's about an octopus called Octavia, who doesn't get picked for the sports day team.
Oh, but he'd make such a good goalkeeper with all those hands.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So is there anything else you'd like to take the opportunity to promote, Nick?
I think that's it. I think that's those were the books. Those were the things. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it sounds like you've got lots of exciting projects coming up. And readers can pick up a copy of Marvin the Moth, A Bite to Remember tomorrow between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. And if you come into the store, as well as picking up a signed copy, I'd be happy to read the story to you on Nick's behalf, since he can't be in attendance. So it'd be a pleasure to meet you if you manage to come into the shop. The books are also available on our website, such as www.bookdragon.co.uk. Thank you, Nick. It's been an absolute pleasure to interview you today.
Thank you, Michelle. It was a pleasure to listen.
Bye for now.